of switching providers. So say that you're opening 2 data centers and next year you're opening another 2 data centers. Are you likely to use the same provider, and what may be the rationale for changing?
I think if you're happy with them and the service has been good, they completed the project on time, within budget, and everything operates satisfactorily, it's a very good reference. You might definitely want to reconsider using them on the next project, but keeping in mind of economic laws of greed and things like that, you don't want that supplier to overcharge you on the next project. So you might still bring in some competitors to bid to be sure to keep them, as they say, to keep them honest. So that may happen, but definitely companies will standardize to a sole source supplier with a sole source supplier that they're very satisfied and happy with, because they're getting excellent service on the equipment, and there's been no technical failures or things like that. They will continue with them as long as they're within, I think, a certain cost range or price range. Will continue with them, but still maybe go out for bids periodically just to keep things on the, up and keep things honest on that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And is there an ongoing revenue stream from maintenance or servicing or adding new materials and so on?
Yes, there is. The equipment should have an O&M contract, which if the supplier is equipped to do it, usually likes as a nice base business after the fact, where you would have, for example, these circuit breakers should be operated a couple of times a year, and because they only operate when there's a fault, so they need to be operated, a couple of times a year just to check everything out. Cabling needs to be checked out. You need to do infrared sensing for hot spots in the equipment, that sort of thing. So that should be done on a regular basis. Also, depending on, and I didn't mention that earlier, when you're writing specifications for this equipment, where you're located can be important too, as to the environment and the atmosphere, especially a data center, which has to be, I assume, pressurized and properly ventilated internally, because if you have that thing located in some kind of a desert environment or a very dry environment, this can be tough on the equipment. So you have to be, or if it's a very dusty environment, you have to be careful and verify that you're not starting to contaminate the equipment with outdoor dust. Filters have to be changed, especially in data centers that are operating under a positive pressure, where the pressure in the unit is higher than the pressure outside to keep dirt and dust out. That sort of thing has to be verified and filters changed and what have you. So this is an ongoing, and it should be done, and it can be quite lucrative business for the switchgear supplier, or the EPC contractor may be taking that on as well. That's another possibility. And then also a maintenance of spare parts, keeping a regular spare parts. You may need to be changing relays or breakers or something like that in the future. You never know. So it's always advisable to keep parts on hand.
Are these O&M contracts typically negotiated up front, or is it more like a reoccurring revenue rather than
No, it's negotiated up front on an annual basis. Could be multi-year with annual updates of the pricing, which would relate to the number of visits and things that have happened. But yes, usually they're annual, and they start up front. They could be included with the contract that you also bid on the maintenance program that goes with it, or which tends to be a little rare, but they do it as well. They'll have a separate bidding for the maintenance contract, because there are also companies out there that just specialize in only doing maintenance contracts.